Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
We're excited to see you today.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
Whenever you're watching this video, we are talking about an important topic again for psychic mediums, and this is all about really recognizing when you are getting triggered. Because when you're a psychic medium, you're fine tuning your senses. We talked about this on our mentorship call the other day, and we also talked about on our intention workshop, which that was an amazing night. We had so much fun with all of you that were joining us on that intention workshop. But we covered the importance of seeing the gold when it comes to your triggers. Because you're highly sensitive and you're developing your mediumship, you're developing your psychic skills, you're noticing everything. That means your emotions are even higher than normal.
Yeah, and you can tune in to things thousands of miles away, 10 miles away, meaning people, energy, and you could spend your time doing that. And it could cause you to get into a funk. It could cause you to stop the momentum in your business. So think about you and picture yourself as a computer. And inside of you, you have all of these red buttons. Some of them are green. Those are the things that when external events happen, it brings you joy. It presses the green button, right? And joy comes throughout your heart, or some form of happiness or peace or positive energy. And then you have these red buttons, and we'll call those triggers, and these are all inside of you. And whenever something external happens, your red button is pressed, and then this negative frequency comes up. And sometimes it's called reactivity, and it manifests in a lot of different behaviors that you're probably thinking of right now that you've done. I could think of some that I've done that really drain our energy. And we get so caught up on the external event that pressed the red button that we forget that, wait, the reason why I'm feeling like this is because I have a button inside of me, and we miss that gold.
Yeah. And when you're saying it, I'm visually going with you, and I'm thinking of the movie. What is that movie when
Inside Out.
Inside Out? That is the
I'm
best.
getting angry. I'm getting angry. He's about to get angry.
Oh my God, that is the best movie. A good example of what we're talking about, because inside there are things happening. It's the cutest movie. It's a kids movie, but it's perfect for adults too.
Yes, go watch that movie if you haven't. It'll explain this whole podcast episode in a cartoon version.
Yeah, it makes it even better. But yeah, when I think of the triggers that psychic mediums come to us with, whether it's our 90-day business mastermind or our, a mediumship membership or our mentorship, the common theme that comes up is there's things outside of us that are happening that are causing some things to stir up. And it's a perfect example of, okay, if there's a trigger here and I'm upset about this, what can I do to be stronger in my expectation? What can I do to shift my focus? Or what can I do to be a better medium? Okay, so every single thing that's triggering you, when I say trigger and we're talking about trigger, I want to put it in terms of like quotes negative, but nothing's a negative experience. That it's a moment of it stirring something up emotionally and you're trying to figure out, wait, why is this happening to me? It's because it's teaching you something. There's a lesson, there's gold in there. And with everything that comes into our life as psychic mediums, it's actually bringing us closer to more joy and feelings of, okay, I can let go. Because mediumship is actually all about letting go. And I think that's the hard part, is a lot of mediums that do this work, they're so used to trying to help people and force things and, want to fix things. But mediumship teaches us to let go. And I think that's an important piece of triggers.
Yeah, the trigger, and I forget the name of it when it's a positive trigger. There's another name for it. It's slipping my mind right now. But we forget about that one too. There's positive events that it'll trigger us inside and it'll bring joy and all that. And there's negative events that'll trigger us inside and it'll bring that reactivity. And there's gold in that, right?
Yeah.
So let's think about some of the triggers that actually happen along the way.
I can tell you one that happened to me that was a huge trigger for me. I remember I was doing a lot of like phone readings at the beginning, which I still do. The majority of my private readings are over the phone. That's just what I do. Unless you're in another country, we'll go on Zoom. And I had just started renting the space that I was going to be doing my Monday readings at. And I was looking at my time. I'm like, my client's not here. That's weird. I'm like, I hope she found it okay. I hope she knows where she's going.
She's really like, where in the hell? No, I'm just kidding.
No, like I really didn't know. Because that was like brand new to me. And I'm like, maybe she's lost in downtown Tampa or something. Then I got like that after.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, what? I hope she's okay. That's my mind. I hope she's okay. And I hope she find it okay. So I contacted her and I called her on the phone and I said, hi, I just want to make sure you know where you're going and you know you come up the stairs and blah, blah, blah. And I think at first she didn't answer the phone, if I remember correctly. And I left a voicemail and then she called back and she said, I'm so sorry, I'm running late, but I will be there. So I'm like, okay. And then I'm thinking, well, I have another client after this, so I'm going to have limited time. And I waited for her and just was patiently waiting and she never showed up. She never called back. And
that was the moment.
Yeah, that was the moment where I was like, what? I felt taken advantage of. And I felt like she wasn't respecting my time and energy. And it was in that moment when I was frustrated, when I thought, I got to do this a different way. And at that point, I wasn't actually charging people to book online. Like I wouldn't have them pay first. So that was the trigger in me. And actually, it wasn't that moment. There was something that happened like later that week where another person either canceled at the last moment or something was happening. And I'm like, no, this can't, like, this is not good energy for me to get frustrated. They're not showing up. And then it's actually holding up a spot for a client that wants to come at that time. And it's taking up a spot. It's taking up my energy. It's taking up clients' energy that wants to talk to their loved ones. I'm like, I got to change this. So I decided I'm going to take, at that point, I think 50% of payment. And I tried that out. And then I decided, nope, I'm not doing 50%. I'm going to have them pay and book their spot. And it was a blessing. And it doesn't happen anymore. So it was actually a huge learning for me. So even though it triggered me and it bothered me, I felt like I was disrespected my time and energy. That kind of thing hardly happens anymore because I have things in place. Yes. And they pay ahead of time. And there's a strict policy of, no cancellation because people are waiting. That's holding a spot for someone, Yes. So that was a huge learning for me.
And that was your external policy. So she put an external policy up where it's like you have to pay before you come and get a reading. But really it was the universe's way of showing you that you had some internal boundaries that you needed to really work on if you wanted to take your business to the new level.
Right, because at that point I'm like, I don't want to make them pay ahead of time. I don't want them, if they haven't had the experience yet. I was really thinking about that. And then I'm like, no, if this is happening more than once within a week or a 2-week span, there's a message in that I need to listen to. Instead of pointing the finger the whole time at the clients, I thought, well, I need to do something. I need to set these expectations.
Yes.
And I know boundaries is like a huge word that comes up all the time. And I don't know how I feel about the word boundaries. I feel like there's times where I might have used the word boundaries, but you don't need a boundary if you have an expectation.
Okay, so it was something internal that you needed to adjust.
Oh, you said boundary?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know you said it.
It was something internal.
I didn't even know you said that. I was just thinking,
adjust.
I was actually going to say boundary. But I wasn't thinking that you used that word at all. But
it's just a word to say that there's something internal that you need to adjust.
Exactly.
And that's the value of this is when you have your triggers, when you have something that triggers you, it's showing you that there's something inside of you that you need to adjust because your mission is huge. How many times have you heard people go on for years with that same story that Lindsay had to where it was like, oh, the client didn't show up. We've heard clients say it over and over and we stop them in their tracks. And they want to keep getting into the story about how bad it was that the client did this. And it's okay to vent for a moment, but when you do that for years, it starts to really take your mediumship business downhill.
Well, yeah, and it's like kids. When I was teaching third grade, it's like if you don't have those expectations and those rules, they'll never know that they can actually, they'll think that they can push past it because they don't even know it's there. So if you have the rules and the expectations, they know what to do. That's what it is.
So another one is, what were you going to say?
So yeah, that's the main thing about that topic is the importance of getting clear, like what are my expectations in my business? And sometimes you don't know what they are until something feels like it's crossed for you, or it's not going in flow as what you want.
Yeah, and another trigger that we notice that's very common with all the psychic mediums, most of the psychic mediums that we work with, especially I would say beginner ones or psychic mediums that are working part-time, is the fact that they'll see somebody else online doing a podcast like us, showing them doing events, showing their business growing, and they'll get triggered from it. They'll get triggered from it because they'll think inside, the story will pop up to where it's like, wait, I've been doing this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and they're automatically assuming that the other person online has not.
Yeah.
They're automatically comparing how they feel on the inside to how it looks on social media, and it's not a equal comparison.
No.
And that's a trigger to where it could be like, we've often uncovered that the psychic medium is not taking enough action steps. The psychic medium is not putting their energy out there, is not doing the things they want to do. They want to create a podcast. They want to create a group event. They want to travel. Sometimes it's traveling. Wait, that medium's going in different cities and they're giving readings to people while they're traveling, while they're having fun. And it triggers them. And then they get caught up in a story of how they're just doing it to brag, or some other type of story to where they're focused on the external event rather than looking internally as to why are they triggered in the first place. And once they start to look at that red button that's inside, they start to discover the gold, like Lindsay discovered in her business when she realized, wait, I need to have people pay 100% upfront before they come to me. And it's totally transformed your business.
Oh yeah, totally. If I didn't have that in place, it would just be a lot of struggle back and forth trying to reschedule more readings than anything and be disappointed, and it would hold up the space. So, and Shannon, I'm so glad you're here and thinking of you with your little kitten.
Hi, Shannon.
She's reading the words as she's sitting in
the
bed. So one of the things that can come up with that is like, when you're looking on the outside, you're looking at people from the outside. I want you to think about something, because unless you're doing the work, you don't really know what's happening with people. So when we work with our masterminders, our 90-day business masterminders, a lot of them are either very, very successful, where they have so much business and they've been doing it forever, but they're like, I'm not feeling fulfilled inside at times, and I want to free up some space and have the balance. Other people, and on the outside, it might look like everything's going good. So maybe people will think, oh, everything's going great for her. But we get the inside information about what's happening to everyone. Everyone's feeling the same way in some way. And when it comes to people that are brand new to mediumship in our masterminders, they're wanting more clients and they're wanting to like rev up their business. And then the other people on the other end of the spectrum in the 90-day business mastermind is trying to figure out, okay, how do I bring the balance? And I feel like there's phases to it too.
There is, and it goes to the point, once again, of comparing how you feel on the inside to how they look on the outside, or how they look on social media. Like you said, there's psychic mediums with highly successful businesses, but they're running around crazy like a chicken with their head off. They're running around stressed out. They're not really enjoying their business as much as they can. They're not enjoying their life. Maybe they forgot about going to have fun, right?
Yeah.
And fun's a big part of it, because if you're not having fun in your life and then you're trying to do this deep kind of work, you're going to burn out. You may not burn out after 6 months. You may not burn out after 6 years. But eventually, the time's going to come to where you're going to burn out. So that's an example of, say there's a psychic medium that's working, they're crushing in their business, and then they get triggered from seeing other people having fun, where they have a successful mediumship business, but they look like they're having a lot of fun on social media once again, or on the outside. And they think, wait, they're triggered. They're annoyed. They're getting into one of their stories of, wait, they're not working hard in their business, or they must be doing
I've heard
something
so many
negative.
different
There's
things.
so many
Or
different.
if you have a husband or a wife, it's easier,
It's
for
easier,
you.
yeah. It's
Like
easier
that's
for
something
Lindsay
that I've actually heard a lot.
because she has Tony helping her, or
Yeah.
it's easier because you don't have kids, or it's
Oh, yeah,
easier
we hear it
because you're
all.
younger. It's easier because you're older, right? We get all caught up in all these
Yeah. Or
stories.
it's easier because you're in a busy city. You know, like
Yeah, busy city
so
compared to a small city.
so this is a good thing because it's funny because I feel like there were moments where I was triggered when people would say, "Well, it's easy for you. You don't have kids." And it bothered me. And I'm
We
like,
both got triggered from that.
yeah, but I'm like, actually, this is a good thing because we want to hear this information so we can help people see it in a different way. Whether it's from what's it called?
We
Oh
just
my
saw something pop up on the screen.
I know,
right?
as we're talking, we're trying to stay focused. Okay. Oh my God. See, this is the thing with live. We have to keep going, and I have to pick up my train of thought.
Yeah, but it's all these different stories,
So there's
right?
different stories. So in our triggers, there's gold. So for us, if we are seeing something that's coming at us, all right, and we feel that trigger, we know other people are experiencing it in the world too, and we can teach people how to work through it because it's a gift. So like for me, I get triggered if I find my program, like you know this about me, if I find someone's duplicating my exact program or my exact name, that triggers me. So I've made it a point in my content to talk about how to be creative. We made episodes on how to be creative. We've talked about it with our business masterminders. So it actually gave us information to teach about too. So it was gold. So if it's coming to you, there's a reason. There's more to it. You know, there's more to look into it internally. But then also as teachers, how can we change the industry to get people to think creatively, think outside the box and not doing it as everyone else?
Yeah, exactly. That was the universe's way of showing us that, wait, you all need to put in your programs creativity piece, which we were already covering it a little bit because it's just naturally coming out, but we're like, no, we need to really focus on helping psychic mediums tap into their own creativity, because many times they think they need to copy the way we do or that we do our business, or they need to copy the way other people do their business. And what we've realized over time is that you need to figure out what's natural to you. And to figure out what's natural to you in your business takes creativity. It takes forgetting about the outside world and tapping into the inside world, tapping into flow. Like when I'm walking, when I'm moving, when I'm working out, all this creativity, all these ideas come to me, and I'll write them in my notebook. And some of them we'll do right away, some of them we won't. So that's a little tip that we would put into our program, is teaching people to like keep a notebook. Yeah. And when your creativity's flowing, because you all know how it works, once your creativity's locked in, things are flowing, right? And all these ideas come in, you can't write fast enough. But that's just one tip to where we were getting triggered because people were either mimicking different courses, or they were just trying to do things exactly like not just only us, but like other people. And we were getting frustrated because we were seeing that was the thing that was holding them back in their business, is they were trying to do all these activities that was not in alignment with who they really are.
And that's happening in the coaching industry too, because I'm connected to a lot of coaches online, and that's like the big buzz that's happening is people are duplicating, they're going onto people's websites.
Yeah.
They're copying all the words, all that hard work. It takes a lot of dedication to put that out there, and just replicating everything word for word. And it's like, of course, if you're a medium, there's going to be certain pieces that you teach that are similar. That's not the problem. Yeah. But I mean like duplicating and like literally word for word. So it's just not in integrity. So, and I think that's the big thing, is the trigger is like when something's not in integrity, let's teach the way. Let's teach on how to be in integrity, how to do things morally right as best you can. We're not perfect. Like none of us are perfect, but How can we be more in integrity in this mission and this work that we do?
Yes.
I want to share something else that's come up too, for me and some other mediums that I've recognized working with. I remember, so I post when I want people to be practice sitters when they're receiving a reading. And there was a point where, this practice reading that my students will do on people, it's free for them. So you get a different kind of energy when something's free. You do. That just naturally happens. But what was happening is when I was posting saying, hey, I would like my student to read you. Are you available to come to our group? And I was finding that people were walking around with their phone around their house as they're getting a reading, and it was distracting as a group, or they were in their car getting the reading driving, or they were doing something that wasn't focused on the actual reading. And it was like, wait, you're here to receive this beautiful reading. Stay still, stay in one spot. But why would I expect them to know that you have to do that? Sometimes it's common sense to think that. But
we realize that common sense isn't.
Yeah, it's not always common for everyone. So I just got more clear as
not for us either.
For the teacher, right? For the teacher in me, okay, when you come, if you're volunteering to come on Zoom, please make sure you are in a quiet place. You are sitting in one spot and you're in a room. You're not driving, So, and just getting clear on that. It's just getting clear on the expectations, because you can't expect everyone to read your mind. Really. And even though we're psychic medium, you can't expect everyone else to read your mind. That's not always going to happen.
Don't you? No, you got to talk.
Yeah. So it's just a redirecting, and I think that's the big thing. But also there's gold in it too. It's not just about them. It's about, okay, I need to get clear on that. Like, why is that annoying
It's
me?
more about you.
Right.
And that's the whole point of this. It's more about you. It's not about the external event. Another trigger that's come up for us many times is we'll have people come into programs or just a one-night class, whatever we're teaching, and then some people will be like, oh, I've already know that. I know that already. And they say I know that already because they read the concept in a book, or maybe in another mediumship course they took something similar, or they heard it in a video, and they get in their head thinking, I already know this. But as we do one-on-one calls with them and go deep beneath the layers, we realize, wait, they don't know it. They know it head knowledge. The head knowledge is, I've read it in a book, I could pass a test. We were both teachers, so we've given a lot of tests where the kids, if they memorize it in school and they bubble it in, head knowledge, they get an A. So we're taught throughout our school systems that head knowledge is the knowledge, right? But what we realize in the business world is it's not. Nobody cares how much head knowledge you have. They really don't. They care about wisdom. Head knowledge versus wisdom. Wisdom is when you take that head knowledge, you apply it over and over, not just one time. You apply it consistently over months, over years, and you're getting results with it, and you're embodying that information. An example would be, we all know it's very healthy to eat vegetables with every meal. Head knowledge, right? That's common knowledge. We know vegetables are healthy. It turns to wisdom once we apply it over and over and we get results with it. So you could be teaching somebody, hey, you got to eat your vegetables, and then they get stuck. Oh, I already know that. And then you're like, you look at what they're eating, and they're eating pizza and fries and cheeseburgers and all of this food, and it's like, you really don't. So long story short is that would trigger us over time until we realize, wait, it's not their fault. It's our fault. We need to really spell this out in our programs and teach people that, hey, you might know it in your head, but are you applying it in your life? It reminds me of sports. Every sport, I played basketball growing up. You have basics that you learn. And you learn those, I learned those when I was 7 years old. So when I was 8, when I was 9, when I was 15, the coaches would keep repeating the same knowledge. And if I got stuck in my head and I was like, oh, I already learned that when I was 7, you're not going to be a great basketball player. We forget that it's repetition is the mother of all skill. Repetition is king. Repetition will take that head knowledge and continue to extract more wisdom out of it, more and more and more. And we realize that the psychic mediums that end up growing at the fastest rate are the ones that are just like the professional athletes that beat over the basics every day. They get out of their head thinking they know everything. And oh, I already know that. And they realize the real knowing is the wisdom, is the application over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's all a part of the application. And I think that comes to one of the things that students share too is when they're giving readings, they're giving readings and, they might be giving a reading to someone and they get a message from a past loved one saying something that they already know. And they might say, well, it's time for you to change your job. Or I already know that, but they're staying at the same job. So that's a common theme that comes up with psychic mediums is they are giving messages and there might be confirming messages like, wow, I got the message that's coming through for them. And the sitter is saying, wow, this is confirmed. Thank you for confirming this for me. But it might not be officially new information. It's just confirming information.
Yes.
So it kind of goes in that way too. So we've seen it all. We've seen all these different pieces. And I think that's the big thing is to recognize that with these moments, it's like, okay, what do I need to see personally? Not what do I need to tell them to see, but what do I need to see? And why is this coming up? Am I doing a good job of explaining things before the reading? Am I, answering their questions, telling them the description so that it could set the tone? Like for us, whenever we're teaching, that's one thing that we talk about is head knowledge versus the wisdom. And the head knowledge is, I know it. And we tell our students over and over again, the wisdom is it's about applying. It's actually doing it. It's not just sitting back. And if you're talking about how to do a group reading and you've never done a group reading and you know because you've watched someone do it, it's not the same as actually going there and doing the audience reading.
And you just ask them a question. You're like, all right, so you know it. How many group readings have you done in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
If they say, oh, I already know how to give readings. I already know how to create podcasts. How many podcasts have you created in the last 6 months?
Yeah.
And then you just hear crickets, and that's how you know, and that's how they know, wait, I don't really know it as much as I thought I did. And that's painful. That's painful. It's painful to hear that you've been doing all this work, and you, in your mind, you thought you knew something. Trust me, it's happened to me so many different times. I thought I'd mastered emotional intelligence 10 years ago. And then I realized, no, this isn't an ongoing thing, right? I thought I mastered the law of attraction when I heard about it back in '08, the first time, because I could explain it to people. And then over these last 16 years, I've been applying it, extracting wisdom. And that's the thing about wisdom is it's ongoing. You never there's no point to where you're like, oh, wisdom, I know it now. I absolutely, it's no mountaintop, right? We're humans. We have infinite potential. So the more that you apply over and over and over, it doesn't matter what you did in the last year even. If we ask somebody, how many group readings did you do in the last year? And they say, I've done 6. All right, how many are scheduled in the next year? That's just as important. Because if you're not consistent, if you stop, it reminds me of like mathematics. It's like if you don't use it, you lose it. You're either making progress or you're not. There's nothing that stays the same. If you don't continue to do your readings, if you don't continue to do your group readings, you're not making progress. You're going backwards. That's our belief. We've seen it over and over with people. Yeah. So the wisdom is in the practice.
Well, and it takes a moment to wind up. So like that's what it is. It's like you literally will hit a plateau and then you go down. And then you're like, oh, I have to pull myself back up. And you can still, when you do the readings again, you can still get it back. But it takes a moment to wind up. It's almost like, oh, I have to build my confidence back up.
Yeah, and then you gotta go all the way back up. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like gas. I'm driving 100 miles per hour. Everything's going, let me stop. I'm driving. We've seen that pattern so many times. And it's so much easier to figure out a weekly practice, a monthly practice, a daily practice, a yearly practice to where you'll actually stay consistent with it. Because the consistency is the power. If you haven't read the book, The Compound Effect, which is right here actually, The Compound Effect, you'll understand it with practical advice here. Go read that book. There's wisdom in the application over and over and over again, because you don't want to just it reminds me of working out, right? You go work out 30 minutes per day for the next 5 years consistently, and you'll create these unbelievable results compared to if you try to work out 3 hours a day for the next 6 months. You're going to burn out. So you got to figure out what is sustainable for you over the long term. And this takes time to figure out.
And atomic habits too, which we
Yes.
don't have in this room, but we have it in the other room. But atomic habits, those two books, The Compound Effect and Atomic Habits, prove that. It's like the
Yes.
consistency of setting it up and making sure that sometimes it's just a little at a time. Like, for the example that I can give is, for me, working out doesn't come easy. I've shared that with you guys in the past. Like, let's just focus that energy on the past. Like, it has never been something that I've been excited to do. But after reading, or while reading the book, The Atomic Habits, I decided I'm going to do wall push-ups, 5 of them every single morning. And it's going to be, after I get out of the shower, so that I know that no matter what, I'm going to make it happen. It's going to be part of the routine. So I built up from 5 wall push-ups to 15 wall push-ups. And I didn't do it overnight. I think it was like a couple of weeks. But it was like, it just had a feeling that came over me. And for me, instead of having to do like 40 wall push-ups, that's not going to last long. Then I won't do that.
Yes.
Same with the trampoline. I was just telling
That's a perfect example.
our people the other night in our intention workshop. Some of you guys were on there. I talked about how I got a trampoline. We have a trampoline downstairs in our living room. We put it so it's right in a space where you have to walk by it. Like, every day that you walk down
It's
the stairs,
smiling at you every day.
It's there. So I made it a point, not 10 minutes of the trampoline, not 15 or 20, but I'm starting off at 3
She's
minutes.
like, screw 15 or 20. That shit,
Yeah,
I ain't doing that.
That's not going to last for me right off the bat. It will be something that will come up later. So 3 minutes, and 3 minutes on a trampoline feels long when you first start, by the way. So 3 minutes every day. And then when I feel that call, well, I can go a little bit, like a minute longer, then I will.
Yes.
But it's like, for me, that's what I have to do. So the Atomic Habits book teaches you that. The Compound Effect teaches you that,
Well, here, we'll prove it right now. Think about right now in your life. What's the number one skill? If I asked you, what's a skill where you're like, this is my number one skill that I've created in my life. Like, I'm really good at this.
And share it in the comments.
Get that very clear in your mind right now. And think about, why is that? How many hours have I put into that skill? How consistent have I been at that skill? And you could think about any skill that you have, and you'll realize it all came because you were consistent over a long period of time and you stayed consistent with it. So if you want to master any skill, it's going to be the consistency. It's not going to be trying to work out 4 hours every day for a month straight. That's not going to do it. You're going to burn out unless you're a bodybuilder, and that's what you do, right?
And the last thing that I want to say about this is, when these triggers happen, have a support group. Have an accountability partner. Take out your journal. Track this. Most likely, if the trigger keeps coming up, you could see a pattern in your journal with the dates of it happening. I notice, I've brought this up on many podcast episodes, the time hop on Facebook. I will see, like 4 years ago or last year at the same time, I posted a similar quote than what I was posting like on the day that I look at it. It's like I post on one day and I'm like, oh my gosh, I shared something really similar of a feeling at that time last time. Or, wow, I did an event at that same exact week last time. I didn't even plan for that to happen. So if you really track the patterns, you'll start to notice, once I'm aware of the patterns, it doesn't necessarily have to stay as a trigger. It could be a learning experience. It could be seeing the gold in it. Okay, so have some sort of accountability group, have some sort of accountability partner. That's why we create the groups that we create. Speaking of that, on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, January 17th, we are starting our 90-day business masterminds. We're excited to see the people that are already joined. I know I've been going back and forth with some people on emails answering questions. If you are one of those people that wants to apply, today is the day to apply. So send your applications over. This happens once a year. So the next time this is happening is in 2025. I shared Debbie's...
That's wild, 2025.
I know. Debbie Squazzero, she is an amazing student of ours. She is just so good at what she does and spreads a lot of light to other people. And she shared her testimonial on her experience with our mastermind. She's been in every single program of ours, and we're grateful for clients like her.
Yes, we are.
Because she's someone that spreads the message too, and I think that's the most important thing as teachers. It's like we're grateful for that. So
Yes.
thank you to our clients that continue to spread the message, but also be on the lookout for that application, which it's at on my website, lindsaymarino.com. Click the Learn with Lindsay tab, and then you can scroll down and it will say 90-day business mastermind. Let me say one thing to add to this. This is the first time ever that we are adding the self-study Unlock Your Psychic Medium online business program to that mastermind. So you can do it on your own time. It's not part of the mastermind. We're just gifting it to you. So that's regularly $2,000. So I just want to put that out there. Because a lot of people don't know that there's some people that didn't know, and I had to share that with them. So if you've been wanting to take my Unlock Your Psychic Medium online business program, there's over 100 people, 100 psychic medium healers in there from all around the world in that program. If you want to be one of those people and you also want to join the mastermind, don't put it off. If you feel that call, the only reason that you should be thinking about it is if you're feeling that feeling in your gut, you're like, and in your heart, I know I'm supposed to do this. I know
Yes.
it. And if you're not feeling it, then don't apply.
No, don't at all.
Don't apply. That's the big message, is don't apply if you're not sure.
If you're ready to create massive momentum in your business, apply. You're ready to take action, right? It's not like you're coming to us and we're going to solve all your problems. It's like, yeah, we work with you. If you're willing to work too, we could solve a lot of problems. But if you're someone that's wanting to create massive momentum in your business and you're ready to grow, then look at the application. You'll see all kinds of testimonials. This is our 5th year that we've ran this program. We used to run it 2 times a year until this year. And now we're just doing it 1 time because we have all of our other programs, and it fits in that way. So if this sounds like you, reach out and at least get the application, look at the testimonials, watch the video and get clear. And if it's a hell yes, do it. If it's not a hell yes, it must be a hell no. Don't do it because it's not for you.
Yeah. And we love working with people that have a passion for their mission. They want to help people. They're heart-centered. They're good team players. That's part of it too. That's what we say yes to when we look at applications. Are people going to be great assets to be good listeners and be connected with the people that are in the mastermind too?
That's right.
Because there's value in them too. Okay, guys. Well, we hope you enjoy this episode. Share one insight that you learned from what we shared and spread the message with other psychic mediums. Thank you, guys. See you later. Bye.